We've been fortunate enough to own a business for the last 11 years, and it has allowed us to travel the world, meet loads of incredible people, and live our best lives with freedom at the top of our list of things that we can take from having a business. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about all of the benefits and some of the things that are maybe not so good about having a business. So obviously, us having a business, we were really fortunate to have the head start that we did have. Our dad was in business, our granddad was in business, and now obviously
we're in business.
The brother's in business. What do you see as some of the best things for us at the minute that being in a business or owning a business has given your life?
The freedom is by far the biggest one, and elaborating on that is going to some of the places that I suppose, you can go to a lot of these places on holiday, but being able to do it in business and then meet the people that you've always wanted to meet. So, we've been to Arizona, I've been to Italy, I've been to Ireland, I've been to France, I've been to all of these places that, again, granted, you can go to all of them on holiday, but without the vehicle of the business, I wouldn't have been able to meet the people that I'd met there. Some of my idols, like Andy Elliott, we wouldn't have been able to do any of those sorts of things unless we had a business. I mean, even one of the other ones, which was crazy, was our dad met someone who was a part of the House of Lords. Now, think what you want about the House of Lords, but to be able to have that opportunity, and he also was even involved with, was it a coronation, was it?
No, so he got to do the opening of Parliament.
That was it, yeah.
So who is now King Charles? There is it might be blurred, we might be able to put it up. There's a picture of our mum and dad that are literally sat about 10 rows away from King Charles, who was walking up the, I'm guessing the Houses of Parliament and opening them as part of the ceremony with William and Kate in trail and their kids. So, business allows these opportunities to come around, and you would never meet these people or have these opportunities usually in life if you're working for yourself, because these opportunities generally are reserved for the people that are in the highest positions of authority, and that generally leaves it to the business owners.
Yeah, this is it. And that was probably one of the most wild people that, I mean, typically we didn't get an invite, but fair enough. But that was one of the more wild people or the wild situations that's happened on people that we've met, being in that sort of chamber. Again, I'm saying it as if I was there, but it was the photos, and to be that close to, the royals, they're now King of England, because of just an opportunity that, because of a business, has been able to present, is wild. But yeah, for you?
I mean, on top of that, taking it even a step further, they got VIP tours through the House of Lords. Oh, yeah. But again, with us, with what we've experienced, I've been to China to visit all of our suppliers, and I've got VIP treatment. When you go there, you get flown out there, business class, so you get to enjoy
scorpions to eat, snakes.
Yeah, they eat some crazy stuff. But honestly, going out there and being flown business class over to go and see suppliers and enjoying that luxury. And once you've flown business, genuinely, and first, I was fortunate enough on the way back to fly first. Genuinely, nothing else compares, and you genuinely get this newfound motivation for, I do not want to fly economy ever again. Plus, it's again a 15-hour flight, so it does lend itself to, when you're up there for that long, if you were sat in economy, it just wouldn't have been fun. And I've flown it a few times, and again, each time, been fortunate enough to fly business, and there are so many benefits to it. But for me, it's that sort of experience, and then going out there and meeting new people, meeting business owners, new cultures. They had a crazy tea ceremony that every time you'd see a supplier, they spent about 15 minutes pouring tea and this decanting of tea. And it was this whole ritual that they had. And like you said, that's what the big thing is with meeting people. And that's what I take as being one of the number one benefits of starting a business. It's creating these connections. Now, if I ever go to China, I know I've got people there that I can go and see, that I've formed relationships with. I went to a concert with one of them. I would not be able to tell you the name of the band, but they were an American band. Don't know what they were doing performing in China, but they were like an indie rock and roll band from America.
Doesn't sound like the normal sort of music I can imagine the Chinese
they love
listen
the karaoke. They listen to Western music 'cause they adore karaoke. They're very, very big on it over in the Far East. And this band was there. I'll be honest, the crowd was not huge. I think there's something like Road to Vegas or something. The name's coming back to me. It's a bit of like an indie rock and roll band, but
The Chinese now go, oh, Road to Vegas.
yeah, they were an interesting group. But do you know what? They were good, and it was an interesting experience to go out there and be a part. That was in Shenzhen, so it was there just looking at meeting the people and then taking it to this, and it was a pinch yourself moment. I was looking around. I'm surrounded by these high-rise buildings in the middle of Shenzhen, China. And I was there on my own, obviously for business. So I had a bit of time on my own to myself and a bit of time with suppliers and people that were out there. And all of a sudden I found myself rocking and rolling with Road to Vegas, whoever they were. You do stop and think and look around and go like, where on earth am I? How am I here? I am surrounded by Chinese people who are obviously generally shorter than me. I'm 6'2", and they are literally, it was hilarious. At one point, there was a couple next to me that were just, they had their phone, and they were a fairly big band, even by America. I think I'd really like to know the name now, but they were recording me in the crowd.
This freak in the Chinese crowd.
It wasn't that. They were just blown away by the fact that there is somebody that is in their local town at an event that they thought I was probably part of the band or part of the crew, because obviously I'm 6'2" and Caucasian, and they're not as tall as me, and obviously from China, looking up thinking, why is this guy here? And you just catch yourself having these strange moments in life, and it's all because of owning a business and having that benefit.
Yeah, exactly. And when we went to Andy Elliott again and we met people there, and it was like, there was a guy from Australia, and he was always like, oh, mate, if you're ever in Australia, you can come and stop with me and we'll have like a bit of a catch up and talk like business and talk these things. And again, when I've been to, Ireland, there's a guy from South Africa, and he's again talking about experiences that he's got there, and he's saying, oh, come on holiday, or we'll talk about this, or side businesses and all these sorts of stuff that, again, you don't normally discuss as much in your group of friends. You tend to keep, a group of friends. So when you're in a business, you're then forced to go and talk to other people, but it's enjoyable.
I've just found the name of the band, Virginia to Vegas.
There you go.
So shout out Virginia to Vegas. Thanks for hosting me in Shenzhen, China. But it was a crazy experience. Now, something you've touched on earlier, which again is massive benefit to having a business. You said freedom. Now, which part of owning a business gives you freedom, or what is it about owning a business that you get freedom from?
Well, when you've set the business up to such a level, you can outsource, or not, you don't outsource, but you task some of the other jobs that you don't enjoy doing, or that you're maybe not as good at doing, to other people within the team. So it gives you freedom to be able to choose and cherry pick the jobs that you're best at and that you most enjoy, and the most important high value tasks. So you're free to do the things that you want to do within the business.
So what does freedom mean to you then? What is freedom to you?
Choices.
What choices?
Choices to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
And do you think you've got that?
Not quite yet, but I'm closer to getting it than I was a couple of years ago. So we're moving in the right direction, but we're not, no business is the finished article, and we're still striving to get to that point. But, I'm not free from the business yet, but I'm a lot freer than I was when we first started 11 odd years ago. And I'm a lot closer to that than, say, even just 1 year ago. And I think that's what it is. It's just continual improvement and continue strides to get to the point where, I'm never going to want to be free of the business. I'm always going to want to be working on the business or doing things that I want to do within the business. But it's about choice and about when you want to do those things, for me anyway.
Yeah, for me, it's similar. Again, choice is a good word. For me, it's about being able to control my future. So freedom to me is being able to forge my own path. And we all have that, but at the same time, a lot of people don't. And owning a business, you get to choose your own path. You get to create your own future. Whereas, for example, I could work in a business. I could be the highest earner for that business. I could work my absolute arse off. I could create loads of opportunity and value for that business. And the business could just go bankrupt, or somebody could just sell it. There's nothing you can do about it. You have no say in that. You get to control your future when you have your own business. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't come with the trials and tribulations of owning a business, and the freedoms really get taken away from you, because if you aren't there making the decisions in your business dies. Businesses literally do not sleep, and they do not wait on anyone. It's like time. If everybody in Amazon just decided, right, we're going to quit, including Bezos, everyone, the business would stop working in 2 days. It would be gone, even a day. The business would be done. No one would be fulfilling orders. No one would be taking calls. No one would be doing anything, fixing bugs, managing the website, managing stock, managing AWS, managing anything. The business would die. So it clearly shows that the businesses need people, and you as the leader are one of those people, and one of the most important people to make the decisions. But again, controlling your own future in a business, for me, that's what freedom is, and having a business allows me to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I do completely agree. And one of the other points that comes from that is having the right people around you and the right team, which has been a massive focus on the reason why we've seen such development in 1-2 years, because we've managed to cultivate and keep the right people that are allowing us to focus again on the more productive tasks for us, which is growing the business, which then allows us to employ more people that are the right ones, and then again grow further and further and further. So it feeds itself when you're in the right mindset and you're doing the right things. But it's just sometimes when you're first starting off, it's difficult because you are the one doing everything. You're doing the picking and packing, you're doing the sending off, you're doing the sales, you're doing the purchase, you're doing everything. But over time, and that's what takes the years and years and years to build up, which is why we've been so fortunate, is that then when you have a team, it's a lot easier. And I and you love that process where we're getting someone in, where we're training them, and then you're getting on with them, you're helping, and they're helping you. And it's just a mutually beneficial relationship.
100%. You get to give back to people, and not just people that work with you. If you're solving a problem within a marketplace that people need, a great one for this I've just thought was Mark Cuban. He's done a great business called Cost Plus Drugs, something like that. Yeah, Cost Plus Drugs, I think it is. And he basically has devalued all of the drugs that these corporations have basically monopolized, and they've created a cost of something that should be a couple of dollars, and they're charging $100 because they have the monopoly on it. So he's basically created this free trade marketplace where he lists the value of what these drugs should cost, and then lists them against a fair market price. And because he's lifted this air of secrecy around what something costs, created a fair market, now people are paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars less for their drugs that they need to keep their illnesses in check, to even save their life, and they're not losing their entire savings, their pensions, whatever it might be, their houses, just to pay for this. So again, that must make him feel so good about not just himself, but the people that he's helping daily, because of the problem that he's solving, and he can give back. And if you're not, let's say, through the service or products that you're selling into the marketplace, if you're a fairly altruistic person, you can take the profits that you take, or that you take home at the end of the year, you can invest that into any cause that you like. You can invest it in charity, donate it, build a school, build something for the local community, and you can give back to people as well as the people within the team. And that, for me, is, again, one of the biggest returns on your investment, is giving back and being able to help people. Because we talked about in other episodes where you have this mental health bank account. And one of the biggest things for me, with everybody, not only in society but individually, just falling into depression and feeling shit about themselves, one of the quickest and best ways to get out of that is by giving back, helping people, and sparing your time or money and actually giving back and creating value for people. Trust me, it feels amazing to be able to do that, and owning a business allows you to do that and make those decisions.
Yeah, most of these billionaires, and I know this is now right at the top end, they do exactly that. Like, you get places like Carnegie Hall again, and then you've got the Rockefeller Center, and JP Morgan Chase, and like Edison, and all these people that have got and invented these companies that tend to give back and build buildings and have schools, and the taxes go back in through the company as much as people don't think they do. Eventually, they obviously do when people pass away, and they do that for their local community, and then everyone wins all around. She's provided a service that people have bought into and enjoyed, and it's improved their lives. But then also they've then built a school. Mo Salah's doing it, I think, in Egypt.
Look at the footballers. There's been a few of them. Even Marcus Rashford with his school lunches.
Go on, Marcus.
I mean, I know some people hate him, some love him, but he has done good for the local community. Yeah, exactly. He has decided to give back. There's so many people that have done that.
Simon Squibb.
Yeah, let's not go into that. The other good one that I think about owning a business brings you is the lessons you learn along the way, which ties into the person you become. Because I remember myself as a person, you go through your 20s, you change a lot as an individual. Certainly in your 20s, there's a lot of learning that happens. There's a lot of growing up. Unfortunately, or fortunately, a lot of people nowadays, seemingly at the age of 15, seem to think that they're 30 years old.
I think we were probably the same.
We probably were, but it's not as bad as it is now. And every year I look back and I think how or who I was as a person, even just 12 months ago, and I compare myself to now and think I was miles off. I've learned so much. I've come a long way. The things I've done, the lessons I've learned in such a short time it's so profound in such a small amount of time. I generally thought this is what everybody goes through, but then I kind of had the epiphany that the reality is you're only as old as the experiences that you've lived. For example, if you are 30 years of age, but you've spent your entire life in your mum's basement, sitting on an Xbox, playing games, not seeing the world, living and working the same job in the same position that you have done for 10, 15 years, you haven't matured as a person from the age of 15. You are still a child. Whereas certain things like moving out, leaving home, owning a business, which is massive because it teaches you so many lessons in such a short amount of time. It honestly, I can't think of anything that it sort of accelerates that learning experience as a person. And hopefully, if you're a good enough person, it leads you to become a better person and not an arsehole. Unfortunately, there is a few occasions where it can accelerate you to becoming a bit of a twat. Not mentioning any names.
No, neither am I.
But go check out our other videos. But it's one of those things where, for me, I think the lessons that you learn, the person you become, one of the biggest factors and benefits of owning a business.
Well, like you're saying, I think back to myself and, going back to school, and before any of this, the best job I had was working behind a bar. And if I didn't get into what we did and work with Dad and learn from Dad, then learn from you as well and learn from videos and constantly learn, I would have still been that same person working behind a bar, struggling to go to Centre Parks every year. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but you would, and you can only do it by going out your comfort zone, and it is a lot of that. And sometimes it's problem solving, but then just pushing yourself that little bit further out of your comfort zone. So you just do it and you experience, and the more you experience, the more you're going to learn and the better you'll become.
100%. And that ties me into another point, which is you get out what you put in more often than not. So because you're the owner of the business, what you put in is generally what you get out. Whereas if you work for somebody else, you can work really hard and really smart, even doing, if you're a salesman, you get really good sales for that year. Your commission might not be reflective of what you might even deserve, especially if you work for a bit of a tight ass who doesn't want to pay you a fair share. You've got no other choice. You can't sue that person and say, I want more money because I feel like I've done a good job. You don't have control over that. So you get to control what you take home, you get to control your own earnings, and you get out what you put in. I think that's massive and a huge benefit for owning a business.
I mean, the other great one is the money that you do take home, there's tax efficient ways of doing it, which, you know, it's, you know, you can pay yourself profits of the company as opposed to paying salary. So most people have to pay, you know, 35% in taxes, whereas when you're paying yourself off the profits of a company, it's, you know, lower than 10. Up to a certain threshold.
100%. There's the other benefits as well. There's tax write-offs, there's things that you can use the business for, like business expenses, laptops, cars, sometimes not as good these days, but vehicles, electronics, things that you can put through a business. And obviously, as long as they're for business use, I'm not an accountant, so seek financial advice. But just so you know, there are good ways to make sure that you are avoiding tax, not evading tax, when it comes to owning a business. And there is a difference. Ask your car. But it is important that you make that distinction. But again, so many benefits. If you're an owner of a business, you understand these financials, you understand money a lot better, and then your money works for you rather than you working for your money.
Well, again, and you've mentioned it in the past, where you actually also don't pay the taxes a lot more until, you know, the end of the year. Whereas, you know, when you're earning PAYE salaries, you're just paying it up front. And although, yeah, paying it up front's great because you don't then forget and you don't think, shit, I got a big bill at the end of the year that you got to pay for.
Yeah,
but it's better to do it at the end.
Sad to say, I had a shock when I saw my tax bill at the end of the year just gone. But like you said, that also, it's a sign of success. You know, it means that things are working well, and I'm happy to pay tax. I've got no issues with paying my tax before everybody attacks me in the comments. You know, I'm more than happy to pay for tax. I think where people take issue with paying tax is that, number one, they don't really get to see where it goes. And this country as a whole, the revenue generated through tax 2 years ago was around 600 to 700 million. And this year it's going to be over 1.2 billion, which means that the tax generated from this country has doubled in the last few years, doubled. So what you're saying to me, and this is a whole other subject, is has the services that we've received in the last 3 years doubled in quality? Have the roads got twice as good? Have we got twice as many police? Have we got twice as many teachers, twice as many nurses? Are the wait times down half as much? We haven't seen any of the benefits from this double increase in tax. And I realise COVID caused a lot of issues and there's other economic situations, but you can't sit there and tell me that we've seen a 2x increase in services that this country's seen.
That's wild, that is. I didn't know that. So it's
ridiculous.
1.2 trillion now in taxes.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, sorry, I've got that completely wrong. I said million.
I thought I'd throw that one in for you.
It's a very small tax bill there. So we barely pay
Sounds
for
like a business
pothole
tax bill.
Yeah, barely pay for a pothole with 600 million. Sorry, 600 billion, and now we are over 1.2 trillion, yeah.
That's
which
nuts.
is crazy for a country of our size, to be fair. But like you said, we're all happy to pay tax, but as a business owner, you get to choose where you take your money, where you get your money in, whether it's dividends, PAYE, and there's other interesting ways around it. My final point on it is you get to bring your vision to life. So we all have dreams, we all have visions in life. Kids these days grow up and they want to become cowboys or entrepreneurs, business owners, builders, chefs, whatever you want to be. Owning a business allows you to bring that vision to life. It allows you to step into your dream and turn it into a reality. Whatever your dream is, whether you're Ed Sheeran, you want to be the best guitar player and singer, whether you are Gordon Ramsay and you want to be the best chef, being a business owner allows you to bring that vision to life.
Yeah, and I get really passionate about it as well, about some of the customers that we have. Like, we're in supply chain, but a lot is automotive. And some of the parts we make are for, you know, cars like a Morgan Motor type car, and they're very physical, obvious parts on what they are. So you see it when it comes in, you're like, that's so cool, because that's going to be on hundreds, thousands of cars that are going to all be produced. And we've got our fingers all over it, if you want to sort of put it that way. But we've had our hands all over it in our DNA, and without us, that car wouldn't have happened.
Without a doubt. And then a final one, I've just thought about it looking at you then. being in your own business, you get to choose who you work with. If it's your business, you get to choose
you can
people
choose.
you surround yourself. Yeah, sorry, I've only just realised that. You're fired. Nah, it's true. It's nice to be able to speak to your friends and family, and it doesn't always work out. But do you know what? I would trust you over any random Tom, Dick, and Harry on the street that I'd meet for the first time 100 times over. Do you know what I mean? The reality is, I would much rather work with you and trust you. And God forbid something was to happen that would break that trust. But until it does, and touch wood, it never will, and I'm sure it won't, I would always trust you over, and I'd always prefer to work with you and share the success with you than I would with a bunch of strangers. So again, owning a business, you get to choose who you work with, which is such a blessing.
Yeah, 100%. And I absolutely love it, but I don't know what you're bloody planning. Touching wood. But no, it's and this is the thing. I'm going back to when I was saying about building a team, and you're building a team and the culture of the business of people that are like-minded, that have the same kind of ambitions and goals in the right areas. You get to kind of, if you see someone that's had a bad luck in their life, and you think, you know what, you're really showing a lot of passion. We want to give you a shot, and you can do that for someone by having a business. Whereas if you didn't, doing something like that is going to be a lot harder.
100%, and we've done it on time and time again, and we've transformed people's lives. And I don't want to do that as the big I am, like, look what we've done. But it's true, that's feedback that we've received, and people are really grateful, because the other thing, like I said, it's about the person you become. But when you have a team, you have to understand that the responsibility for you to be a good leader is huge. It's not about just wearing a badge saying I'm the boss, because anybody can be a boss, but being a good leader in today's day and age and being able to give back to your team and create opportunity for people, as I said, is one of life's biggest and best blessings for me. I'm sure it is for you as well. Certainly as a business owner, that we can help people not only achieve not only our dreams, but achieve their dreams alongside ours. And I think that's so powerful, to be able to help other people achieve what they want in their lives, and then we can scale that up. We've got a team of 15 at the minute, and we love each and every one of them, and I'm sure that'll continue to grow and scale as we move the business forward.
Yeah, we've just got to get some more sales in. Someone's winning the competition at the minute, and I'm fuming, but there we go.
Indeed. You better get your numbers up, mate. Right, another episode on why starting a business is so incredibly beneficial to your life. There are so many reasons that we've touched on today as to how having a business can become a blessing in your life. The video that we've done directly before this, that will have launched a week ago, was all about how to start a business. So remember to go and give that a watch, because then once you've started a business, you will start to see that everything that we've talked about in today's video is so true. But what we also want to do is take you to our business page, brothersinbusiness.net, where we will actively help you get started with your own business every single step of the way from start to finish, and get you to the point of selling product from day one. We are here to help, and then turn your dream into a business. So brothersinbusiness.net, check it out and give us a call. Remember, aside from that, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you get notified every time we launch a new episode of Brothers in Business. Thanks for watching.